This is Kardec Radio for Teens.
And now it's time for real life-changing dilemmas from a spiritist perspective. The Diary of Alex with your host, Mark Smith.
Hello once again and welcome to another edition of the Diary of Alex. And today, Alex is going to the military. If you remember, Alex is living in the 1930s and 40s. And so we are talking about someone who is living in Brazil, who is enlisting to go to the army. In this case, he's going to Italy. And we're going to read now his diary entry around 1940. Well, I've just enlisted to serve the military, and I don't know really if I've made the right decision. Is it the right thing to leave my mother? Is it the right thing to leave my family? Part of me thinks I really should move away because I really want to get away from this confusing and really, really difficult reality. I don't love my step family, but I want to be there with my mother, and I don't know, am I doing the best thing for myself? Should I be thinking about my family more? My mother loves me so much. Am I escaping her love? Anyway, now that I'm getting ready to go to Italy, I just don't know if I've made the right decision. I'll write back when I'm a little bit later when I get my head a little bit clear. So the second diary entry we're going to read is how now Alex is approaching Italy after 1 to 2 months of travel. I've got to Italy, and I'm seeing snow for the first time. It's making me think of it's exhilarating and kind of exciting, but at the same time I wonder, is this a symbol of the fact that my heart is frozen? That I'm not thinking about my mother and how much she loves me and the compassion she has for me, and that I've made these decisions to kind of run away from my roots, to run away from my family. But I must push forward. Right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I thought that that's what I wanted, but now that I'm here, and of course I can't get out now. Now that I'm here, I'm looking into my heart and I'm thinking I feel a little bit empty. Am I running away from myself? I'm not sure if I've done the right thing. Should I have spent more time trying to think about my family and how important it is to serve my family? Am I feeling this emptiness inside because really what I should be doing is helping my mother? I'm so confused. I don't know if I've made the right decision. We can see here in these two diary entries how Alex is making decisions here that may, we could argue from a spiritist perspective, have moved him away from the call of love and service. That the closest people in his life are the people that Alex could have served, his mother, and the difficulties his mother is facing. Imagine how much difficulty his mother must be facing with this new family. It gave him an invaluable opportunity for spiritual progress, but he didn't take advantage of it. By running away, in a way, he's not respond to this call of love. And in a way, we may find as he moves forward that this emptiness is going to turn into pain. That what's underneath there is a lot of emotional and internal conflicts that he's experiencing because in a way, we could argue, he's not really fulfilling his reincarnatory plan by being in Italy. And he may have let his own selfishness and pride and his own needs blind him to what his spirit really needed to acknowledge and access. In the Gospel according to Spiritism, we learn from the good spirits that selfishness and pride are the biggest vices that as immortal spirits we have to rid ourselves from. And we might remember that another really important element is that in the Spirit's book we have the law of society. This is a universal principle. We need each other. We need each other to support each other into progress. And that might be why selfishness and pride are such vices. Remember that Jesus, the first word of the Our Father prayer is Our Father, right? Here Jesus, this famous prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, comes from the Last Supper, right? Where Jesus was united with his own disciples for the last time, just about before he's about to get turned into the authorities. Our Father, by saying that, he's talking about community. We're not meant to live in isolation. We're not meant to be selfish. And in the rest of that prayer, Jesus talks about how the kingdom of God lies within our hearts and how our hearts remain alive when we think of that community and we think of our own commitment to each other and to our own spiritual growth. That's when we don't become frozen like snow to our own reality. So in the Our Father prayer, now the next line, bring us our daily bread. Remember that we need to nourish the soul first and foremost. The daily bread is the nourishment of the soul. The body's but a temporary vehicle for the soul. So we have to ask the question, if we're getting through that prayer, we can start thinking about it. Is Alex nourishing his soul? Did he pray before he made the decision to go to Italy? Did he exercise patience? Did he think of others? Did he practice charity? Did he practice listening more than just speaking and doing? Did simple acts of kindness, was that something he thought of before he thought of himself? Did he stop to put himself in the shoes of another person, like his mother? From the diary, we see that's really not the case. That Alex, we could say, his soul is starving. You can hear this anguish that he doesn't have this daily bread of love from God. So, remember, in the rest of that prayer, the next lines is, forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And here, we're talking about how one of the conditions for love is the act of forgiveness. We need to free ourselves from these heavy burdens. And Alex's perception of his family is one of the big issues that he's facing. He's taking offense with the stepfather and the stepfamily. But maybe what he needs to do is take that a little bit more. We need to take that perspective a little bit more and learn not to be offended by others. Realize that, hey, my stepfather's a little bit sick, but with a little bit of compassion, a little prayer, hopefully my stepfather will find his way soon and I can be there to support my mother and so forth. What does Jesus say next? Deliver us from all evil, from all of our temptations, right? Alex is experiencing these problems, arguably from a spiritist perspective, because of pride and selfishness, which is blinding him to his divine potential. So he's running away from his commitments. And ultimately, because he's running away from divine potential, he's also running away from himself. Because he ultimately is love. Love lies within him. He's running away from love. He's running away from himself. All this stuff is interconnected. So are we running from ourselves and our true nature? Are we running away from love? How can we be more mindful of ourselves as immortal spirits? How can we see ourselves as being or as living through Christ consciousness? How can we learn to see ourselves as divine, loving, capable, willing, and able to learn from our experiences and all the experiences that life brings us? Are we going to resist the learning opportunities? Are we going to run away? Or are we going to practice compassion, surrendering, forgiveness, taking perspective, thinking about the needs of others, thinking about how we can work together, build community? Let's ask that of ourselves. And I encourage you to ask yourself that. And let's learn from Alex here about the importance of that. So let's say a quick prayer here. Dear Father, thank you so much for the lessons that we received from Jesus and the important messages that Jesus left us in his last hours, to remember that we're members of a community that we are members of a community, and in living with others, we learn to be compassionate. We learn to forgive. We learn to take others' perspectives. We learn that selfishness may not be the way to achieve what we need. We learn instead that service is important. Help us to see the messages of Christ, because ultimately Christ lies within us. He's love, we are love. Let's listen to our hearts so that we can build and move forward with our lives and our reincarnatory plans. Thank you, dear mentors, for the gift of the story of Alex to help us to learn these important lessons. So be it. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
This has been Kardec Radio for Teens. Thank you all for listening.